In this video, we're going to look at part 2 of balancing our chemical reactions. So one thing that we're going to have to start including are the states of matter. So if it's a solid, we're going to abbreviate that as an S, as you see here. Gas is going to be abbreviated as G, liquid as L, and then this might be a new one for us, aqueous, AQ, just means that it was dissolved in water. And then sometimes you might also see water vapor as V. When we're writing our word equations, our first step is to write the element or the compound. Remember, if it's a diatomic element, it's going to need a subscript of 2. As we're going through this, we are going to have to identify if it's ionic or covalent to help us determine if we're balancing the charges or writing the formula from the name. So let's go ahead and go through a practice problem with aluminum and bromine reacting to form aluminum bromide. So in this case, aluminum is an element. So we're going to go ahead and write the element symbol. We have to check to see if aluminum is diatomic. It is not. Bromine is also an element. So we're going to write the symbol for bromine. Bromine is one of our diatomics, which means we have to put that subscript of 2. And then we're creating aluminum bromide. So that's Al and Br. Al is a metal, so this is an ionic compound. I have to balance out the charges. Bromine has a -1. Aluminum has a +3. So I have to add 2 more bromines to get AlBr3. Remember that this subscript balances the charges. Now I can go back and I can put in coefficients to balance the equation. So as I'm looking at that, I have this 2-3 split with that bromine. So I'm going to get those bromines to 6. And the way I'm going to do that is by putting a coefficient of a 2 out in front here. And if we wanted to, you could go ahead and do your reactants and your products T-chart. We've got aluminum, we've got bromine. There was 1 aluminum in the reactants, there was 1 in the products. There were 2 bromines in the reactants, there were 3 in the products. So that's where I saw that 2-3 split. So we're going to go ahead and get this to 6. And when we do that, this 2 multiplies to the 3 and to this invisible 1. So now I have 6 bromine, but I also have 2 of my aluminum. The way I get 6 bromine over here is by putting a 3 in front. That 3 multiplies by the 2 to give me 6. And then I have to go and I have to balance out the aluminums. I now have 2 aluminums in the product, so I'm going to put a coefficient of 2 out in front, and this would be my balanced equation. Let's go ahead and write another practice problem with that. So we have iron, which is Fe. Iron is not diatomic, so we don't put that 2 down there. And it's reacting with fluorine. Fluorine is that's Fe again. Reacting with fluorine. Fluorine is diatomic, so we have to put that 2 there. Now we have iron 3 fluoride. Iron's a metal. This is an ionic compound, so we have to figure out what that compound's going to look like. This Roman numeral 3 tells me the 3 charge on iron, and F is a -1 from the periodic table. So I'm going to add 3 of those F's to get FeF3. Now I have to balance it, and this is very similar to the last one, reactants and products. I have Fe and F. I have 1 Fe in the reactants, 1 in the products. That's balanced. 2 fluorines in the reactants, 3 in the products. I'm going to get to 6 by putting a coefficient of 2 out in front here. That gets me 6. That also changes my iron count and gives me 2 irons. And then I have to balance out my fluorines on this side. I'm going to put a 3 in front to get 6 there. And then I have to put a 2 in front to balance out my iron here. There are also times where you're going to be asked to draw some diagrams. So for this, we are going to create a key. We're going to go ahead and say maybe this open circle is hydrogen, we'll say a closed circle. There's oxygen. And we have some diatomics in here. So I have 2 of the H2s. So my H2 is going to look like this, right? And I have 2 of those. I have 1 O2. My O2 is diatomic. And then in my product, I have 2 H2Os. So I have an oxygen with 2 hydrogens. And then I have another oxygen with 2 hydrogens. So that would be maybe an example of something I would ask you to do. Let's go ahead and look at another one. This one, we have 3 different substances. So we'll go ahead and we'll say that that open circle is sodium. We'll do a closed circle to be chlorine, and then we'll do an open triangle to be chlorine. So once I have my key, I can go ahead and draw them in. I know that I have 2 of the NaCl's. So that's going to look like this. I have 1 F2. Those are my triangles, and it's diatomic, so it's together. I have 2 of the NaFs, so that's an open circle and a triangle. And then I have 1, I'm sorry, my chlorine's the filled in one, so it's 1 diatomic of that chlorine. We're going to get a lot of practice with this. If you have any questions, just make sure you're writing down those questions, so in that way, the next time we see each other, we can go ahead and go through those.